There's a conversation to be had.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Welcome, folks, back to a conversation to be had. It's your host, Charlie, and we're here for another continuance of the conversation we had on the last pod. We're going to talk about Charlie Kirk a little bit more. It's gotten a little deeper. People are getting fired from their jobs, and Jimmy Kimmel recently got pulled off the air for a joke he made, and it's really got us questioning freedom of speech, government involvement. I'm going to bring the guys in. We're going to get right into it. Jesus. Rashawn.
What's going on?
Blessings, my brothers. Welcome.
How we doing?
All right. Man, we got to talk about Charlie Kirk a little bit more today, guys. First question I want to ask, with all the stuff that's going on, the last pod we got into the race issue and stuff like that. It's gone a little bit farther than that with like the conspiracy theories on his death, the conspiracy theories about the alleged assassin. So, we got flags at half-staff, the president at this guy's funeral. Just a bunch of different, moving things. For me, most alarming is the people being fired from their job. Whether they're Charlie Kirk sympathists or Charlie Kirk haters. I think that's wrong. So it brings me to ask you guys a question to start our discussion off today is the Charlie Kirk assassination being weaponized? We're going to let you start out, Rashawn.
Absolutely, it's being weaponized. And you can see that being weaponized from the top down, the top of our government on down. Right now, there are people who have just merely said that they're not going to mourn his death, and they're getting doxxed and fired. You see plenty of teachers out there that have lost their jobs. I don't know how many have been verified, but I do keep my ear to social media, and I see a lot of accounts where people are talking about how they've been fired from their job, making comments about it. You got the football teams paying tribute, and I believe that some people that were against that, again, they're getting fired. And then you had the whole Jimmy Kimmel situation, and I didn't even feel like the man said anything wrong, and they dropped him, from the ABC broadcasting company. So I definitely think it's getting weaponized. I believe that the government is trying to anoint him as a new martyr, to be honest with you, for the right wing. So yeah, I would definitely say that. What about you, Jesus?
I definitely think that it is being weaponized. I think it's being weaponized both directions, personally. It's kind of like I'm going to kick you while you're down for one side, and then the other side is like, oh, you guys are demonizing us, and our guy was a saint. And then you got people that were just indifferent. To your NFL point, I think that's a really interesting one, because we were told to take politics out of football when somebody kneeled down. But now you got a guy on the big screen and everybody taking a moment of silence, and that guy is just a normal civilian, just like the other guy was.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get people that are like, okay, where's the line? Like, you keep moving the goalpost. And then you get people that at some point get turned off to all of it. And them people even get vilified, because no matter which side, this side will be mad at you because you don't think, oh, you can't be sorry for this man's wife and kids. Like, come on, man, who's not going to feel sorry for somebody's wife and kids? Does that mean I'm going to actively go out of my way to mourn? Like, does anybody know the name of the shooter of the kids in the school that same day?
Yeah, the Colorado school. Yeah.
Where's the line? So I definitely see both sides of it.
But see, now it's like I look at some of the memes that have been put out, and they're pretty bad. As far as like, the dude, a guy did get killed. He was assassinated, and it's a tragedy to to people who who loved him. He had kids, he had a wife, he had a mother, he had a father. And I'm sure all of them, as well as a lot of his followers, mourn him. And they've been putting out some memes that have been pretty bad, but at the same time, I look at it as I didn't see anything worse than I saw when George Floyd, died. I mean, there was one other side putting out, super mean memes. And I mean, whether you think he was a crackhead or a criminal or, he was resisting arrest or whatever you think, it's still a man died. But I mean, a lot of people wasn't, caring about that. And I mean, a lot of people was putting up some pretty mean stuff. And I didn't hear about anybody getting fired because, they said something mean about George Floyd. But all of a sudden, this guy, you say something against him, or I mean, even for him, like some jobs are the exact opposite. And I mean, I don't think we as a society should be like that, But let's get into the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing, because that was, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Like when you just I mean, I don't even want to play the joke, but if you play the joke, it really wasn't nothing like, super crass, super like cringy, nothing of the sort where you might be like, oh, he might have stepped over the line on that one, but nothing of that sort. And for them to shut him down like that, with the FCC being involved and everything else, especially with everything that we have on TV today. I mean, you can get a variety of anything you want to see on TV today. So, like, when I see the FCC involved, and I mean, this is way bigger. This is something else. But I mean, it goes back into the weaponizing of Charlie Kirk. They're using this whole situation to, screw other nuts on. What you think, Sean?
I think that, you're entirely correct. For your first point about the George Floyd situation, everything like that, that's where you're seeing the hypocrisy. I mean, they had a George Floyd challenge where people were posting pictures kneeling on other people's necks and stuff like that. So when the right goes and complains about everything that the left is doing, I just kind of laugh, because both sides do it. But what they do is they push each side's gonna say, hey, look at this, you know what I mean? And that goes viral. But I think that if you were to look at the majority of people, they're gonna kind of come into the center. Yes, it was awful what happened. Nobody wanted to really see him die. There's gonna be some like me that aren't gonna mourn his death, but I certainly wasn't wishing death on him. And yes, we do feel sorry for his children. That's where I think you're gonna see the majority of people fall. But they don't want to push that narrative. The right's gonna push the narrative that the left is crazy and they're celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. And the left is going to push the narrative as hard as they can and say, like, hey, look, this was a right-wing person that shot him. So I get it. You know what I mean? It's politics as usual. As for the Jimmy Kimmel situation, I feel that, so I don't think he said anything that was wrong. I watched the whole thing. He made reference to Trump, kind of like when they asked the question about, hey, how do you feel about your best friend Charlie Kirk getting killed? He was like, oh yeah, I'm doing okay, but hey, look at these trucks over here putting together my ballroom and everything like that. So he cracked a joke about that. He mentioned JD Vance going on that far right podcast, and going on Charlie Kirk's podcast. I'm sorry, he mentioned JD Vance going on Charlie Kirk's podcast and said, his mascara fingered hands or something like that. So that's where the problem was. It wasn't that the fact that the joke was bad or it violated some FCC rule. The problem was that it hurt Trump's feelings. So, Trump tagged his FCC guy. His FCC guy went ahead and made threats, telling we're going to pull their broadcasting licenses and everything like that. But on top of that, now I'll shut up. You got to think those stations, Sinclair and all of them, they're heavily right-wing. Sinclair Media or whatever like that, they're already right-wing. So when they talked about they were going to pull the Jimmy Kimmel show, that was really all they needed. ABC needed was like, oh, hold on, we'll just drop them. You know what I mean? So I think the real culprit was those media groups. But I'll be quiet. It was a little too shallow.
No way Rashawn is being quiet. This is crazy. Never thought I'd never see it. First off, I don't equate George Floyd to Charlie Kirk. I think they were two completely different people, different personas in community. So I can understand if someone somebody on the other side could be offended that somebody would compare George Floyd to Charlie Kirk because they were so different. It's not like we're saying guy that can galvanize a group of people versus guy that can galvanize a group of people. We didn't know George Floyd until the event happened. Charlie been out there influencing people for good 10 years, maybe a little more. So they're a little different, but the principle of you can't celebrate no matter what the situation is. You can't celebrate the death of someone on your opposition side and then expect us to care about someone on your side when that happens. When you do that, you don't get to equate them. So, and real quick, just a sidebar for people who don't know, I'm not. My liberal friends think I'm conservative. My conservative friends think I'm liberal. I have voted independent for years, so I'm always like y'all suck and y'all suck. Like, and Rashad knows this.
I do.
So the Jimmy Kimmel thing, this is the interesting one because this is what I'll do. I'll watch CNN and then I'll watch Fox.
Yeah,
that's what I always do.
Because I go, I want to know what the boomers are being fed, and then I want to see what the liberal side is being fed. And then there's just people.
And then you make your decision. All you got to do, then you can kind of sift the truth through it, like you sifted, like you sift the truth.
And then I hit the internet and I try to piece things together. And what I learned today was they are like, the Fox crowd is on the defensive. Oh, if people were really trying to censor, they would shut everyone down that talks about Trump at once. No, they would not. This is the perfect example, and we all have to pay attention. And hopefully it doesn't work out this way. But if you fire one name, you see the reaction. If everybody's cool with it, you move on to the next, and over time, they just wash out everybody. That's how it works. It's not like this big blanket move that they're just going to come in and be like, everybody's fired on the same day because everybody criticized Trump. Like, nah, they're probably going to feel that out a little bit. I think it's wrong. I don't watch Kim. I didn't think he was that funny.
Yeah, I didn't watch him either.
I've seen him do plenty offensive things to women and otherwise on his show. The whole COVID thing, Rashawn, you already know, I was on the whole other side of the COVID argument.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy, I was way on the opposite side of Jimmy on that. I felt like he should have been off the air a long time ago. He was canceled to me, right? Like my TV never went to his channel. So he was already canceled to me. The fact that they did it officially, I'm just like, for this? This is not the thing. When Trump said that, I laughed. When Trump said
right.
I was like, is this dude serious? Like, did he just say that?
So do you think that maybe that this might have been the excuse that ABC needed to get rid of him? Because, I mean, ratings are down for nighttime shows and everything like that. And, I mean, people aren't watching.
In general, though.
Yeah, in general.
In general, I think it looks bad because they knee-jerked and got rid of him. Just let this dude finish out his season and be like, all right, this is the final season. And, you know, what is he on, ABC? ABC proudly prevents the last episode of Jimmy. Like, what? Do the thing the normal way so people don't do this. But when you do it like this, you've just created like this. Now we're all out here talking about, we're going to lose our freedom of speech. So, I don't know.
See, you gotta understand what Jimmy Kimmel represents. The reason I even brought him up is because he's not like your average, nighttime show host who just, said something that got canceled. Like, he's always been that guy pushing the line, like those Crank Anchor. You remember those cartoons, Crank Anchors and all that stuff? That's him and his brother. And the thing is, like, he kind of, you can't take his freedom of speech away, is what I'm basically trying to sum it all up and say. I think that, like, whether you hate, if you don't like him that much, let his ratings and the advertisers just not mess with him because of that. Not because of something he said that made Trump mad or something you feel was offensive towards Charlie Kirk. Don't let that be the reason. I get it. Yeah, ratings is down, and I'm cool with that. What I'm saying is, like, I believe that as bad as what Charlie Kirk used to say, he has the right to say it. I
Yeah,
believe that firmly.
I
And like I
definitely
said, I'm the type of guy, being from Chicago, I don't like the passive aggressive anyway. Like, if you don't like me, just say you don't like me, and we can just sit around and not talk to each other in the room. But don't act like you do, and then, be talking, talking mess on the side. That's going to make me want to punch you in the face.
Yeah, I think
You know?
I think what people need to understand is freedom of speech. That man is not in jail. And he's still free to say whatever he wants, wherever he wants. He just can't do it in that workplace is no longer his workplace, right? I can't go to my work and say anything I want and then be like, y'all can't fire me because I said that. Now, they can't arrest me because I said it unless I say some really off the wall, dangerous things but if I'm at work and I start talking about God and they fire me, technically they probably could fire me. I'm not going to jail for it. And I think that's where people are like, oh, we're losing our freedom of speech. Like, no, you can do it. But I do see beyond this. This is like the one-off, let's all get mad at. But the fact that they're trying to touch social media algorithms, put laws on college campuses that you can't talk about this or that, that is affecting our actual First Amendment right in a different way than dude says something out of pocket. Okay, that's the last straw. This dude at the FCC is obviously might be abusing his authority or whatever. And it's not even that off brand for the Trump administration. Like, Trump's the one who was like, if you guys let these protests happen on your campuses, we're going to take your money away. Like, he's always threatening to take something away from somebody. So this is totally on brand for that administration. No one should be surprised. I agree. Don't want anyone's freedom of speech taken away. But I mean that in the literal sense, not in this figurative, like, oh, this guy lost his job. This man right now, he's eating just fine. He's living a lifestyle that us three, we can't even imagine. And he don't have a job right now. And he's still living that lifestyle. Like, they didn't pack up their house, have to move, none of that. This dude is still living that fantastic lifestyle as a free man, able to say whatever he wants, just not in the walls of ABC.
Well, and I agree. And I think that, this might actually elevate his career. You know what I mean? Because he's now become kind of almost like a martyr in a sense. You know what I mean? If you think about it, him and Colbert.
Kind of like a target of the other side. So it's like, now let's lift him up.
Yep, you know what I mean?
I hope that doesn't happen, but it could.
All right. I agree with you, Jesus. That was a very, very, very good point. I never was looking at it from the point of that is their job. But I got to push back on this.
Sure.
I understand you say, okay, well, this is my company, and I don't want you talking about church here, but you should be able to go home and talk about church. And not
he can do that. He can
and I'm pretty positive. I mean, you could probably check it, but none of them people that got fired probably was doing it at work. That's probably something they fired off on, laying in their bed at night, going through TikToks and then another thing like this. I got an example for you guys. I have a friend who is he's an airline, not only a pilot, but he's a captain. You know what I'm saying? And so he would really be offended by the whole Charlie Kirk, if I looked and seen a black guy, comment. Right? That's really offensive to him, somebody who is actually a black pilot. And if he was to say something, he probably would lose his job too. And it wouldn't be like he'd be at work or on the plane flying it, typing that message. But if he was at home sitting on his computer and he fired off against, Charlie Kirk right now, he would lose his job. And that's what I mean when I say, don't take that freedom. I totally agree with you. Like, when you at my job, if I don't want you talking about, strippers and hoes, and I got the right to do that. If I don't want you talking about Jesus, I got the right to do that. You know what I mean? But
I feel you.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But at home, I feel like, man, if you're sitting on your computer at home and you feel a certain way, you should be able to express it. Just like with the guy, you don't talk about that. If that ain't the vibe that's around you at work, keep that to yourself. But at home, you should be able to,
This is
Bible it out.
That's very fair, very fair. But the nuance is Jimmy was on the clock. He wasn't at home. He was on the clock when he did what he did that got him out of there. Now, I agree with the school teachers and all of that. No, but I'm saying he wasn't at home tweeting and got fired. He was on the clock when he did the offense. That
and I wasn't like referring to Jimmy specifically when
but the
was
teachers and stuff. I agree.
Yeah, more normal
and
people
day,
like, man, dude, you should be able to go home. And I mean, if you want to say you black people, okay, cool. That's cool too, But
fist bumps. We agree.
Okay, yeah, we do, because that's what I'm saying. Like, like you had turned. I never thought about it how you were explaining it. Like, well, yeah, if you're at the job, you should. And I totally agree with that. Like, you gotta,
but yeah, it's a nuance.
You gotta. Yeah, if you want that job, you gotta, whatever the rules is, they're the rules. You don't start your own company if you don't like it.
Well, and to kind of like pivot on, I mean, not pivot, to kind of like piggyback the point that you're making, Charlo. I was looking up, and there is a thing called the Charlie Kirk Data Foundation, and what they do is they crowdsourcing social media users since the death of him. It was originally called, I looked it up, it was originally called the Charlie Murderers, later rebranded the Charlie Kirk Data Foundation after some criticism. What it does is it collects publicly available data to analyze support for, they say, political violence. It says that in the state, it says that it does not publish personally identified information or engage in doxing, but however, it has faced a lot of backlash for allegedly exposing personal information of individuals who criticize Kirk's death. And to me, that's dangerous. You know what I mean? Because what you're doing is you're compiling this database, and you're putting it out there in the public. And then when you do that, you're putting people's livelihood and lives at risk. There's a lot of crazies out there.
Speaking of crazies, let's get into the sniper a little bit.
I was like, whose name are you about to throw out there?
I'm coming to me. Like, what did I do?
No, let's talk about the sniper. I don't even know where to start with this.
Okay, how about this?
The roommate is basically the roommate, and basically how we even came to him in the conclusion that he's allegedly the killer of Charlie Kirk. It was his family and his would that be his girlfriend or his boyfriend?
Let's just say partner. Let's just be safe and say partner.
Okay, yeah. See, now I be trying to be right, Sean. Dang.
No, he don't, man.
You need me in here. You need
no,
me.
No, he doesn't, man. Me and him go back and forth on this, man. No, you don't, Charles.
So his partner who's going to transform is already transformed.
Transitioning.
Is he more than BCI already, or
transitioning? To be
transitioning,
not transforming. Okay. Transitioning.
What's the difference?
It's a big.
Is he not transforming?
No.
Or is she not transforming?
Can't stand you, man.
Are they not? Just saying. No.
So a lot of people are going to say, and they're going to look at that, right? This is what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They're saying, well, look, he's with he has a trans partner, so he must be left wing. But that's furthest from the truth, man. Just because somebody is trans doesn't mean that they're left. Their ideology falls on the left.
I just found out there's gay Republicans. Like, it's an actual group of people called the Gay Republicans. I didn't know this. This was kind of an eye opener. I'm like, that's kind of a tough vote.
Gay people good at turning people out.
Oh my God.
Hold on.
Straight up, they are. Let's not be fooled. Like,
hold on. Let's get back to the crazy guy. Let's leave this street alone.
Another turned out victim. He's probably another turned out victim. The dude we're talking about right now is probably turned out.
This street is the wrong street.
Look at his look at his entire lifestyle, his whole surrounding.
Right.
And then you look at he had a trans. Bro, when did he meet? When was that whole environment in his world, in his cipher?
So
and when it happened, it changed his whole world, bro. You come on, man.
Hold on, man. You're right. This kid grew up in Utah. He grew up in a Mormon family who are all Trumpers, right? But he was bisexual.
Dad, a cop.
Hold on, stop. Hold on. He's probably been bisexual for, I don't know, most of his life. He's probably known this for a long time ago. And he's had to deal with family members that told him that he's going to go to hell for feeling the way that he feels and everything like that. So he suppressed it. You know what I mean? And then he went away to college and he found somebody that he loved. You know what I mean? And he was able to be who he truly was bisexual. It wasn't that he got turned out. That's who he was. You know what I mean? That's exactly who he was. So when you say you get turned out, people don't get turned out. They don't get turned gay. They're just gay, man. So I hate when people say that, Charles. I do. I really do.
Man, no, I've seen dudes get turned.
All right,
out.
hold on. Let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you guys this.
Like,
Is the assumption that the guy is a liberal guy? Is that the assumption based on? Is that where the whole thing is?
I can assume that because especially when you look at that whole MAGA movement, like a lot of MAGA people, their sons or daughters don't agree with them on that.
How about when MAGA people are secretly gay though, man? Like it happens all the time. You know, they suppress it, man. I mean, we see it all the time. This kid to me was apolitical. I don't think he was political at all. There's a guy that talked to. Well, there was a guy that went and talked to all his friends, and all of his friends said he didn't talk about politics. He never talked about politics at all. You know what I mean? He kind of was just whatever.
But what I'm saying is, I'm trying to hold on before you lose me.
Okay.
Because I'm not political like that. So if you're a Republican and you're gay, that don't mix. Is that
the head of Planter, the guy that does all the tech stuff, and he works for Trump? He's gay. Trump said he's a very nice guy. He's gay. So you could be a gay Republican. Man.
You can, but we do know that Republican side tends to vote against gay issues.
Absolutely.
Right? So it would be like it's like when a black person is Republican, people call him an Uncle Tom. Why? Because they feel Republicans are always voting against the black issues, where they somehow, I don't know how, believe that Democrats are actually doing their issues. Yeah, here we are.
Well, first of all,
but you get the point,
it's a
though.
black issue. There's really no. I ain't going to get into that, but
most
of the issues that they consider black issues, yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. Like,
yeah, that's the reason. That's all.
To be a gay Republican would be like shooting yourself in the leg. Like, what are you
okay,
doing?
I get that. So that's not the norm. It's not the norm.
It's not the norm. Okay. It's not a showstopper, clearly.
Exactly.
Right? But it is something. So like here, let me just try to put the smallest bow on this. Let's say your number one issue was the border, but you happen to be gay. If your number one issue was the border, you might vote Republican because that's the thing you really were like, I got to go for this. This has to be my thing, even though I know a byproduct that I'm going to give up is something else. Like it's a compromise.
Okay.
That would be my example. So it doesn't mean just because they're gay, they can't be Republican. It just means there's bigger issues on the table for them than the gay issues. And if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize, but issues of the LGBT.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, cool. That's it.
All right. So back to the sniper.
Okay.
That was a fun road, by the way. You guys just took me down.
What would we? Yeah, but what would we consider the sniper? Just part of the LGBT CQ? He's like he wouldn't be like he would just be LMNOPQ community, not like gay. Because hold on. He wouldn't be gay because his partner is transitioning,
Charles,
into a woman. Okay. So then that means he really likes girls because this one is going to turn himself in. I mean, he's going to turn himself into a girl. So does that mean that the shooter really likes girls, so he can't be gay? I don't understand.
I know, man. One of these days we're gonna have a podcast.
Well,
sexuality is fluid and it's a spectrum.
Oh my God.
Yeah. let's say there's also a group of people that believe that this dude is not liberal, and I just learned about this, groypers.
Yes.
Which is like the right that are like, there's the Charlie Kirk right? Mm-hmm. There's like the Candace Owens and Tucker. Then you get over to Charlie, and then there's like all the way keep going, like open that dusty door, and there's this another group all the way down there that believes all of them people are not MAGA enough.
Nick Fuentes.
And that's them. And there's people that believe that that dude was influenced by that crowd and not a liberal. I think ultimately no one knows. We're going to be fed whatever. There's people that don't even think the kid is the one who actually pulled the trigger. Like, that's where we're at now. We're a week out. All questions are, there's more questions now than there was.
Because I mean, they wouldn't even, it ain't like they caught him. They wouldn't have him if his family hadn't turned him in, he'd still be out there.
But you make a good
That's
point.
why you can have any questions and you can make up anything you want, because you really didn't have to do an investigation to try to catch him or nothing like that, man. His old man told him.
Yeah, but I think there's some things out there that you can kind of, look at. I mean, the Droiper situation that he brought up. So that's like Nick Fuentes, right? So Nick Fuentes is all super anti-Semitic, super far right? And there's a commercial he put out where he's waging a Droiper war on the Trump administration and Charlie Kirk, because he said Charlie Kirk wasn't far right enough, and he hated the fact that Charlie Kirk was siding with Israel for a while. He didn't like that because he's anti-Semitic, you know what I mean? And so what they would do is, like, a lot of these droipers would go to like Charlie Kirk functions and everything like that, and start, a whole lot of mess there. But he called it a droiper war. So to me, I feel like, you're not crazy when you start going down that path to look at, because you got to remember these droipers are all heavily into the gaming community. And so,
droipers or groipers?
So when I
think it's groipers.
I thought it was groipers, right? But then I saw the commercial with Nick Fuentes, and he says droipers. So he's the guy that came up with it. So that's the only reason why I say droipers now. So I just watched that thing, and I was like, holy shit. It's the video is almost like he's got like a whole bunch of frogs with like almost like patches on their arms, like Nazis and shit. And he's like, it's a droiper war. We're going to be putting this on Trump, the whole administration, because they're not far right enough.
I'm looking it up. It's a G.
So it's droiper?
Droiper. Nick Fuentes, Christian nationalist activist, is but all that to say, tomato, these mugs are all the way over there as far right.
Yeah, you're right.
That's the point.
and what they would do is they'd infiltrate those like Charlie Kirk things, and they would start mess. You know what I mean? So what if this kid, everybody wants to look at what was written on the bullets and say, oh, he was anti-fascist, but you can't do that. Those were video game memes, every one of them. Here fascists catch all that. Yeah, that's video game.
There's a lot to the bullets and the stuff. Like, there's a lot to that too, right? Like, you fire off a rifle, you take it apart, you jump down, you run, you put it back together, you leave it by a tree. Like, there's a lot of like mystery behind that, which I think we don't know. But if you're lining up the suspects, right? Mm-hmm. You can't negate this far right group, is my point. There's the left group, and we could do all of because he was with a dude that is becoming a lady, we could do all of that and say that automatically makes him this. Or we could go, yes, that makes sense. This might possibly make sense. There's people that can make you think this dude wasn't a part of it at all, and it's all a setup. Like, you'd be like, what? So
I think it's going to take us hearing from him. Like, we need to hear from him. Like, you know what I mean? Nothing is coming from him himself, at this point, because early on. But I think it's going to be interesting going further down when the questioning starts coming out. He starts speaking. Because I don't think the last I heard, he wasn't working with the law enforcement or anything. He's pretty quiet.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually confessed yet to them.
Yeah, I don't think he has either.
Last I heard.
Well, this is the question I got for you guys and our viewers. I want you guys, viewers and listeners, I want you guys to just think about this for a second. Okay, if you take this shooter's lifestyle, okay, it would agree with the person he shot, with the exception of his sexuality or his, whatever. Okay. Let's say he had the MAGA dad and the MAGA family and the Christianity, but he was really,
Mormons
surprised.
aren't Christian.
Okay, well, Mormons. Okay. Say he got all that, but he's really wanting to be something else. What drives him to the point where he kills this particular individual? Even if like he's he said some stuff about trans and he don't like trans. Like even let's say he's on a anti-transformer campaign. Like I don't understand, especially if you're not one, what could drive you to go? I mean, is that enough to drive a person to go kill another person? Like a sniper move? I mean, it's going to put you in jail for the rest of your life or take your life? I'm saying, was it that important of an issue that he was talking about, whatever he was talking about? That's my question. I mean, we have to ask ourselves that, like, if that's the only thing you can find that you're saying that, his Charlie Kirk's speech may have offended this young man or offended what he stands for or whatever, like, is that enough to make somebody go shoot somebody?
I think Charlie Kirk was the last straw and he had a chance. But I think that you're talking about a young man that grew up in a family that was telling him his whole entire life that the person that you are is going to go to hell. You're a piece of shit. You know what I mean? And we will never, ever, ever accept your lifestyle. So he grew up like that, right? And that's a lot. So you got to think the time, I don't know when he started feeling the way he started feeling, but I'm pretty sure it was probably at a younger age. From that time until he was 22, 23 now, he's been being told his whole life that he's going to burn in pits of hell and all types of other things. His father would never would never love him. His grandmother would never love him. His mother would never love him. So so that builds up over time, right, Charles? Like that builds up over time.
I can imagine that, but what I'm saying, Sean, is that's what I'm saying. You hold on, so you don't go too far off the ranch. I can understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is then you have a whole state full of people, bro. You could go snipe. Why Charlie Kirk?
Because Charlie Kirk.
You don't even know him.
But Charlie Kirk.
And no one in your state even agrees with you.
But Charlie Kirk constantly spoke out and said,
"Yeah, he's the voice of a generation. Like he's a voice of a couple, actually."
But his the whole religion of that state is against that. That whole anywhere you would go.
That's more
right. But what I'm saying is your contact with that anti-trans or that anti-elemental PQ community world would be, you would see that more in your state. You could pick on people that have actually said stuff directly to you to offend you because of the state you live in. Why Charlie Kirk, though? You don't even know him.
Because Charlie Kirk had a platform where he was spreading transgender.
There's a lot of people doing that, though. And what I'm saying is in his state.
Charlie Kirk had the youth in a chokehold. He was one of the
I will say, if he shot Billy down the street, we wouldn't be talking about this.
We wouldn't be talking about it.
You go hit somebody that big that is actually voiced. And I don't know Charlie. I didn't know this dude personally. I didn't watch his stuff. I'm almost 50. This dude was not the influencer for me. But I can say that if he was a Christian, I can assume just from some clips I saw that he was basically just saying what the Bible says and trying to get that out there or whatever. And people take offense to that anyway. So maybe this kid was like, this dude right here is the tip of the spear of this messaging that's anti my lifestyle. So he could have shot Billy down the road, but maybe he did. To answer your question, yes, people have killed people for less. Like, people kill people for the stupidest things. Young lady just got killed in Charlotte. What did she do? Sat down on a train. I guess that just sent the guy over the top, that she sat down on a train. Like, people do stupid things. So I think in this case, Rashawn makes a good point.
But see, like, even if you use the train, bro, like he came in contact with her. Like, they were this close to each other. That was a snipe. You never met the dude. You snipe him from, off the
No, but
rooftop or something. It had to be planned.
It's not that he never met the dude. Never met the dude is the lady who got on the train. Charlie Kirk has content out there forever. When I was a kid, small little anecdote. If Michael Jackson was at the Grammys, I was watching. Why? Because I didn't get to watch him every day on social media, what he ate for breakfast, what he put on that day, all of the things. I know all about Michael Jackson because he's everywhere. Charlie Kirk people felt like they knew him. There's people out here crying like they actually knew the guy. That's different. That some people could feel like they knew him, especially the way he was thinking because of the things he was saying, and it probably triggered this guy. That to me is more of, yes, I can understand he believed he knew more about Charlie Kirk. My whole point is people kill people for less than what just happened to Charlie Kirk. So I could totally see why the guy, based on what Rashawn was saying, that makes sense. You've been tormented your whole life by everyone. You're going to take it out on someone. Why he chose him, I don't know if we'll ever know that. But it's unfortunate, but he did.
But why not the guy? I mean, Charlie Kirk, here I'm looking, called homosexuality a sin.
It is a sin in the Bible. It is a sin. I know, but Charlie Kirk didn't make that up. That's a real thing.
I agree. The Bible is a sin, and he cited Leviticus where it included verses about stoning gay people. He claimed being gay was an error, compared it to alcoholism and drug addiction. Referred to gender affirming care as child mutilization. Described the transgender identity as a social contagion, especially affecting young girls, autistic individuals. Said being trans is the throbbing middle finger to God, the abomination. Compared doctors that did gender affirming care to Nazi war criminals, suggested they should face Nuremberg style trials. So this guy was very vocal about how.
I think that's a bit extreme. I'm a Christian. Just sidebar. I'm a Christian.
Right.
A sin is a sin. The only sin that's greater than the rest is turning your back on God. So if I tell a little kid that he looks like a dumbass, that's equal in God's eye to the sin of someone committing a homosexual act. It doesn't make that act bigger than that sin in God's eyes. That's what it is. So people that make it bigger but minimize all these other things, the point of sin is just you've missed the target. That's all it is you missed the target. The one that's bigger than the rest is forsaking God. That's the only one.
Right. Religion, we can get into that. That's another conversation to be had there.
Well, you guys brought up Mormons and all of this. Like, come on. It's fair game. It's a point.
Fair game. We did. I did. I talked about the
Yeah, but I was only using the Mormons to state that I know that that's not accepted in their religion. So I was saying, like, well, any church he goes to, I'm sure the preacher says 1,000 times, the way he's living or he wants to live is not right. So I'm saying, if you're going to pick off somebody, why not pick off somebody who's had direct contact with you, they've been straight drilling, you're a sinner at you, be mad at them. Why, him? But to another point that I was going to make is, if we look at this kid and what were you just saying, Jesus, about the whole, when you came in, you started talking about the religious part of it. You know what I'm saying? And how you believe, And I get all that. The point I'm making is, like that stuff you read off, Rashawn. You read off all the anti-LMNOP community stuff that Charlie Kirk has said. I've listened to a lot of his speeches now because this stuff is so prevalent. I've never heard him rattle all that off at once. So like when I look at his speech, I don't like, if you were to ask me and I've seen quite a few. So I'm not just saying it's like off two speeches or two debates I've heard him do. I actually thought he was Ben Shapiro at first before he even got killed. I used to listen, stuff he's saying. I thought it was Ben Shapiro. They look alike to me. But what I'm saying is I've never heard him rattle all that stuff off at one time. So when he comes around or I see him on a podcast or doing a debate, I don't say, oh, that's the anti-LMNOPQ community guy. I don't think that because that's not his main That ain't what he come in the door like, I don't like, elemental PQ community people. Like that ain't, he's all around. He got enough for everybody, for all of us. And he spreads that love all around, or the hate or whatever. But he don't like focus on that. Yeah, that's one of his views, but he don't focus on it. So like if you're gonna pick off, that's your lifestyle, and you're gonna pick off somebody that preaches against it, why him? Like he does, and yeah, he has all the followers. And yes, he does say that stuff, but it isn't like he has anti-elemental PQ community meetings, and no, that's just part of his whole the thing that he does in general. Like he's going to be anti-black, he's going to be anti-elemental PQ community, he's going to be anti-immigrant, he's going to be anti all those things.
But,
he's gonna.
But just to make a point on that, let's just use your hand. Let's just say you got a cut on one finger and you're typing. You're still hitting all the buttons. That one finger, when you touch it, it hurts. That's people when they go, Charlie Kirk was racist.
I understand that.
No. You have to. I don't think you do, because you're basically saying he treated everyone a certain way. So just fall in line. And that man, we don't know the answer to the question, but that man, the thing that hurt him the most, you see people do this all the time at comedy shows. They'll go to a comedy show, they'll love the comic, but the comic will touch one spot that really hurts them. We can't judge when it's going to hurt. And we can't say, because I hurt these people, that means I get to hurt you. We don't know how people will take that. That's a very tough, it's a great question, but it's a tough one for us to answer.
Yeah, I can see the emotion, but I just don't see the emotion carrying you to the top of a building with a sniper rifle. And
we never will.
So I think that kid was set up, man. It don't make sense.
It doesn't make sense to me either. To be fair, it doesn't make sense. I'm not 100% that this guy did it, but I don't have anything else to say for sure. I know there's plenty of other people that would benefit from this, far greater than this kid.
I mean, I'll say, I mean, they're out there. A lot of people are saying that, because Charlie Kirk, his views on Israel kind of evolved over time. When October 7th first happened, he was staunch pro-Israel. You know what I mean? But as it went on, he started questioning about Israel's methods and the fact that they were bombing and killing citizens and everything like that. He even went out. He visited Gaza before, and he came back and said, "Look, man, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I don't understand the security, because if you go to Gaza, and I've been there before, you can't get within 10 something. I forget how many feet he said. You can't get within 10 feet within there." He said, "There's no way." So how did this happen? There was a security. How did they have a security breach to this level where they were able to do this? And he started questioning more and more and more. So a lot of people are saying, it's out there, and I'm not saying I totally agree yet, but it's interesting because a lot of people are looking at this. They're saying there's a lot that doesn't add up, and they're looking at the Israel aspect.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to line up suspects, Israel's definitely a suspect. Just the laws they're trying to put on college campuses, the influence they're trying to create on college campuses. They got the boomers. They don't got the young crowd. So they'd want that. If the number one voice for you for years all of a sudden switches gears, that's a bit of a problem. So I'm not saying they did it, but I'm saying maybe the Groypers were involved. Maybe it was just straight up as easy as liberals, one lone wolf. Maybe it was self-inflicted MAGA stuff to create. We don't know, but you got to line all the suspects up. There's some, no matter who did it, that are still ultimately going to benefit from it. And they're showing their faces. And that's more sickening than us over here. Like, he was racist. No, he wasn't. Feel bad for this. Feel bad for that. It's like, don't get me wrong. When I saw it, I was disturbed. I was like, man, this is awful.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't a fan, but goodness.
I mean, you got humanity. You still feel human. You're still a human. Goodness, when I saw that stuff.
It's all day, You hear me?
Yep, we got you now.
All right, we're gonna have to end this off, man. We gonna go down a wormhole, and I didn't want to do that. No wormhole, audience. We're not going down it. You keep your conspiracies to yourself. We're gonna stay with the facts, what we know right now. You know, we're not gonna get canceled or anything. You know,
We on that list. We just made the list, Charlo.
Right.
We're on that list now, man.
man, we might be.
Too late,
We
brother.
might be. So, you know, we just, you know, we had the conversations, we asked the questions, you know. Yeah, like I said, you don't have to agree. You just have to come to an understanding. And you got anything to say, Sean, before we get out of here?
Just, you know, that I think that we, like you said, it's going to take some time. Everybody needs to relax and wait for the facts to come out. And yeah, we can sit here and discuss what we think might happen and everything like that. But nothing's solid. It's a very fluid and moving issue that's happening right now. And hopefully we'll get some answers down the line, you know, better understanding. But these are definitely conversations that we need to have.
Right. Hey, Suits, man, we appreciate you stopping in, man, dropping the knowledge on us.
Yeah, it was fun, man. It was fun. Some of those roads were a little interesting, but hey, I was with y'all.
Right. So take us out. You got anything you want to end on that note?
I think there's a lot of nuance to every aspect of this topic, and it takes conversation to kind of break down some of these stereotypes or walls. But if you don't have the conversation, who will?
Got it. So we're going to get out of here, folks, with that. Love you. Till next time.
Good job.